How's it going, my fellow Titans? Welcome to a brand new Titans Season 3 video, and today is a video that I've kind of announced a little while back that I'll be doing, and that is kind of a big nerd out discussion involving you guys about anything and everything Titans Season 3, especially regarding the new teasers and information that we've got recently through teasers from the showrunner, set photos, promo images, but not only that, of course, excuse the notification, the main trailer, the official trailer. There's a lot of speculation and theories to come out of that. As much as we get teased with, and as much as we like to know what's happening or think we know what's happening, there's still lots of mysterious avenues that we don't quite yet know which characters are going to go down, how things are going to be adapted to a T, or maybe not, with some new innovative adaptations. You get the idea. So you guys sent in so many theories, speculations to get my comments and opinions on, and obviously in this comment section I implore and encourage you to give me your thoughts on my thoughts. That's what it's all about, a big Titans Season 3 nerd out. So grab your coffee, I've already got mine, I'm halfway in, and enjoy this video, and we'll see how this pans out when the show finally airs August 12th with the first 3 episodes. And yeah, I guess without further ado, question, or should I say screenshot number 1, and maybe I'll do another one of these because I think there was loads, and I mean loads of questions that you guys sent in. So the first one is from KMVVZ, and they said, do I think that the Red Hood, or do I think that Red Hood is possibly the reason that Hank or Dawn dies? Now, if you're kind of confused as to why, like, there's this assumption why we think, or a large majority of us think that Hank or Dawn is going to die, and if not one or both of them will leave the show. For example, if one of them dies, then let's just say Dawn, Hank leaves. Not only that, Alan Richardson, who plays Hank, has his kind of own show as well, so it kind of makes sense if Minka Kelly's Dove dies, that Hawk would maybe finally give up the cowl and yeah, call it a day. But not only that, what is the context to this in general? Why do we think that one of them is going to die? Not only because, you know, Alan Richardson seems to have some other things going on outside Titans, but Minka Kelly, I believe she wasn't filming as long as the others. She dipped at some time before filming even wrapped. And I believe the very quotes of her Instagram post, of which I'm only just remembering, is "this wig and I have come a long way." You could easily put that down to, oh, you know, now I finished filming and now, you know, we're going to film again with the wig next season. But come on. So, you know, your original question is, do I think that Red Hood is possibly going to be the reason Hank or Dawn dies? This is the interesting thing, because I do believe they are trying to long term set up or feel out the ideas of a Red Hood in the Outlaws spin-off show. And Jason, as we know in the comics and source material, I would say most of the time he is low-key redeemed, and he is, you know, kind of, well, Red Hood in the Outlaws. He does things still with his guns, but not necessarily lethal rounds or anything like that. But obviously, can he be properly redeemed if he absolutely, I don't know if he would go as far as I say, butchering someone like Dawn or Hank, but if he does kill Dove, Minka Kelly's Dove, let's just assume it's Dove rather than Hawk, because that's my safe bet at least, then it's just like, damn, how is he going to be redeemed? I could maybe understand it if, I don't know, this is the dark thing. I suppose maybe he can come back from killing someone, but that is long-term level stuff. Do you know what I mean? I don't see how you could be redeemed by the end of this season if you kill one of the Titans. Either way, I think this could be the jaw-dropping moment that happens in episode 3 that people have already got screeners right now are talking about. Apparently, there's some jaw-dropping stuff that happens in episode 3. But yeah, again, that could be early. Hank or Dawn could die much later on. But yeah, long story short, to kind of tie off this question, it is likely that Red Hood would be the one responsible for killing one of the Titans. Not only that, it would raise the stakes to like, oh, you know, Red Hood is Jason, fair enough. That's a big shocked Pikachu face for all the Titans being like, oh, Jason, that's you. We thought you died. But then if he murders one of the Titans, that's like, oh, we need to deal with this. So yeah. The next one's from Rakeem B. Do I think that Dick will be more like his comic self and actually make more jokes and wisecracks while in combat? That's what I really want from Dick Grayson. This Dick Grayson, he's a bit too moody. I want Dork Grayson. I don't necessarily think so. As I always say, these are adaptations. I'm perfectly happy with Brenton Thwaites as Dick Grayson. I think he does a stellar job. As I just said, adaptations are adaptations. Not necessarily everything comes out of it. I don't want to promise you something because I don't know. I haven't seen the episode episodes. I mean, apparently I have screeners, but I just haven't got them yet. So I hopefully will be seeing it to get those 3 freaking episodes ready for review, hopefully in the first couple of days, because that's a big thing as well. Don't forget, 3 episodes on August 12th. I have to somehow do all of those. And hopefully I will be able to, seeing them a little bit early. But, you know, I don't know if he will have jokes, is what I was getting at there. But I'm sure maybe he will a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary. I feel like they've brought this Dick Grayson to fruition pretty well from, I would say the most important vibes from him definitely come from Brenton Thwaites when he's in that role. I don't imagine Dick Grayson, like Brenton Thwaites' Nightwing in Gotham, like doing little acrobatic kick flips and gymnastics and then being like hee ha Dick Grayson Spider-Man type jokes in the middle of combat. That would just almost feel too unnatural to just insert that out of nowhere. However, I do, you know, they have shown a bit of quirkiness in combat or post-combat when he smiles or something at Hawk and Dove, who are also suited up, or they fist pump. I don't know. I feel like that will still happen, but we're going to have to ultimately wait and see. Ultimately, I would say it's not a necessity for me. I don't think that he's, as you say, too moody. I mean, it's realistic, I feel. Like, he's the one who's probably the most kind of, like, tempered and ready and assesses the situation rather than, you know, theatrically being like, he as he jumps around. So, VUN Van Yax says, do I think that Corey's powers will reach their full potential when she's fighting her sister in this season? So, what I think, I can't remember what teaser I heard, but I think somebody teased the fact will we or won't we be getting like some characters with their comic book powers, such as Starfire flying, and I seem to remember like they strongly hinted that we would be seeing that, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do, because that's what I kind of regard Corey in full potential mode, is like seeing her kind of levitate and, you know, be fully equipped, if you know what I mean, on top of her Starfire powers coming back. So yeah, I think that's, it goes without saying, on top of Corey's new badass suit this season, I think Starfire will be fully actualized after she goes through a little bit of a, you know, learning curve at the beginning of this season, because she's not out the woods yet. She's still losing her powers. In the trailer, it depicts that she's going through some shite, so to speak, but once she's through that, I think she'll be badass. I think this is the interesting thing that I'm considering, though. If they show her flying, the thing is, why wouldn't she fly a lot from there on out? That's the only thing I think they might have an issue with. So if they show her flying, you have to think, if she doesn't fly in future scenes when she could have been, and what would have been useful, you then kind of think to yourself, well, maybe they shouldn't have shown her flying, because if you can't use it in all the times it would have been handy, then, do you know what I'm trying to say there? So it's going to be an interesting thing there. But other than the flying thing, which I do like to think would happen, yeah, she's going to be, like, fully, like, you know, juiced up Corey. II Customs says, I think Red Hood's line of, what bothers you more, that your greatest failure has returned from the grave, or that I've become a better Batman than you, would work perfectly in a Nightwing versus Red Hood scene. Especially how Dick, throughout the show, was trying so hard to become his own person away from the Batman, but everyone around him keeps telling him to be Batman. Also, just how Bruce left Jason with Dick to guide and mentor him, and look how that ended up. Yeah, so whether people like it or not, and this is what I've tried to articulate in a hard kind of way, because it's going to be a very faithful adaptation, all while steering away from it at the same time. But yet again, that's my mark of what you need to do in a live-action adaptation of a show. I guess everyone's standards are different, and maybe even expectations, of course. It's kind of all subjective at the end of the day. But me, with my kind of philosophy and motto going into shows like this, with comic book adaptations in particular, is that I expect some kind of new, and the word I use is innovative, change. I know it won't be completely copy and paste. Some people love the idea of that, and there's a part of me that does, but then you never have any surprise. But some people even like that, because it's like, well, that's what I want to see. I want to see the comic book pages onto screen. But a lot of the times, people running production shows, you know, showrunners, writers, they want to leave their kind of stamp on it and kind of make something yet new, but also old fans can identify the comic book panels that have been scanned onto screen, so to speak. But then there's some changes. And so here, long story short with that is, Batman, obviously, without going too much into it, but a lot of you understand, you do kind of get character embargoes. Yet it's also confusing, because when I say that about Batman not necessarily being used on TV, but you can use Bruce Wayne, people are like, but then how come Superman is in Superman and Lois, and you've got all these other things going on? It's a confusing subject matter, but just trust me, when they have to work with what they can with the limitations of the show that are in place. For example, one limitation is that they just can't have Batman in a fully portrayed on screen kind of way, in that of the way you see Nightwing walking around in the suit. You just can't, they can't do Batman like that. So what can they do? Next best situation is obviously reflect that onto the Titans a bit. Now, what's interesting is they do have Bruce Wayne in this show. That's great. At least we have Bruce, and they can give some kind of narrative to him, and they have. We know that he goes out after Joker and beats the living crap out of him. I don't think quite yet maybe kills him. That's something that's still on the cards, but I don't think he would have. Let's just assume that he hasn't, and he just did something that really has disgusted himself, because this is a Batman who's been having a no-kill rule, and has even probably had a rule where he didn't think he would go too far by his own criteria for decades. And now, decades later, in this seasoned Batman, Ian Glenn kind of aged up a little bit, as a lot of you like to take the piss out of. He's done one thing that disgusted him, but through beating the crap out of the Joker. So at least we have the Batman, or Bruce in a way, to this story. But yes, the rest of it will be kind of like, it would work perfectly in the Nightwing versus Red Hood scene. That your greatest failure is returned from the great. Now, I do know that will still alienate people. I don't think that specific quote would be proper relevant to Nightwing, because it's not Nightwing's greatest failure. Like, it still would be, like, he's still Batman's Robin at the end of the day. But I do expect a lot of this iteration, it is a Titans show. The Titans are the characters who are going to feel, and what we're going to see being felt, feeling the reactions of knowing that Jason is Red Hood, and a fight between them, because Batman stepped down. He's gone on some random ass sabbatical, probably chilling with Selena Kyle in the Caribbean. I don't know, probably not, but you get my point. And the Titans have to look after Gotham, whilst a Red Hood, new lunatic, mysterious identity person is running around the whole Gotham criminal underworld. So they're going to be the ones dealing with that. But I just hope a lot of people who go into this season and then maybe critique it just understand that, because a lot of people I can already pick up already being like, oh my god, they've changed it already, like this, the Titan, where's Batman? Like, if you went into it thinking that, like, when it was never going to happen in the first place, but then already you were setting yourself up for failure. Tangent over. Next question from Levi Reed. Also, if Beast Boy will actually get the chance to do something this season. So, Beast Boy, Ryan Potter. So, I think he will be getting more this season, but seriously, do not set yourself up for what you want out of Beast Boy. That's what I'm going to say. Through looking at, well, I say that's what I'm going to say, and I'm still talking, but through observing Ryan Potter, I think he's clearly done with the show. He kind of low-key probably wants out. He retweets things like, I'm abbreviating right now, retweets things like, if you're not enjoying your workplace kind of thing, life's too short kind of thing, get out now kind of thing. This is what I mean, I'm abbreviating, but like, there's lots of subliminal messaging that he's put out there with not much, you know, care in the world as to who sees it, because he's contractually obligated probably to be in this season. And sure, when he's filming, I bet he's probably having a great day and trying the best he can to enjoy his circumstances. But I think as an actor, maybe through what he got sold in the role, and through maybe what he thought as in terms of what was sold to him in the role, he'd be doing a lot more. He's probably thinking like, ah, nah, if I can get out before season 4 or by the time of season 4, I will. And, you know, he's also tweeted stuff on his social media saying, when somebody says, oh, hope we get much more Garth storylines, like, what storyline? Laughing face. Like, you don't do, like, that's not a joke, people. So, you know, I wish all the best for Ryan Potter. I'm not saying it like he's left right now, but clearly, I think all of this sets up that he's teasing that. I'm sure, as I've said, they've given him a bit more to do this season, but it's not going to be what the big Beast Boy fans want to see. At least that's how I'm intuitively vibing it. Like, it is speculation at the end of the day. This is kind of rumory, if you will, but as I said, take all the circumstantial evidence into account. Yeah, so yeah, will we actually get Beast Boy with the chance to do something? Yeah, of course, but like, not to the extent that fans want, probably. Alright, so Comics Animations 18 says, with Jason becoming Red Hood, do you think that he and Dick's dynamic will mirror him and Bruce's dynamic from Under Red Hood? I should have included this earlier, but yeah, I think that's exactly what I was on about. You know, I don't think Dick Grayson, he is still very much Nightwing. He's not going to be Batman. I think a lot of people are getting confused with that line in the trailer, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, he is in essence, I think, with the somewhat modifications of the story to kind of fit the narrative of the Titans canonical situation that's going on with this adaptation and the history they've already set up with the first 2 seasons. Yeah, Dick Grayson will be the one kind of dealing with that, I would say, because Jason in this adaptation spent a lot of time with the Titans in season 2 after being slumped off by Batman, which, you know, is pretty shitey of Batman. But at the same time, like, to understand the story and what the writers were going for there, maybe that isn't so uncharacteristic of Batman, because maybe he thought, hey, I might, you know, this is obviously random tangent here, but I feel the need to include it for people who may slate into this. Is it so bad that Batman did that when he thought maybe putting Jason, who he's been having some troubles breaking through with, like, obviously between Batman and Jason Todd Robin, he thought maybe, oh, going off of a Robin who's kind of clearly come out the other side of his experience with me, maybe putting Jason off on another Robin would be a good idea. Maybe he just thought that'd be a good idea. But I do understand, if anything, it works into the narrative of the show, because he feels like he got slumped off by Bruce to the Titans. Like, it probably makes him feel like even further from Bruce Wayne, if you know what I mean. But yeah, long story short, my favorite word of this video, or words even, it will mirror that dynamic for sure. But even more of an interesting one, because it's kind of like two former Robins, and if anything, I'm up for that innovative adaptation. That's kind of what I mean by innovation. This is the experience between a Robin who's evolved into his own persona, Nightwing, and also the same applies for Jason Todd, a Robin who's evolved into his own persona of Red Hood, albeit they're two sides of the same coin. They went different directions, and that's a dynamic I'm very much so looking forward to seeing this season, especially that reveal of when the mask comes off. Oh, I can't wait for that moment. Now, this one's kind of a random question I thought I'd chuck in here, because it's not so much to do with the trailer, but it's still relevant to the overall structure of the story I guess we're going to see ahead, and that is from UAV saying, do I think that we can see Deathstroke return, or that we could see a nod to him still being alive, since there was the scrapped post-credit scene of him waking up in a hospital? So yeah, I did hear about that. I can't remember right now how solid that is, but if I remember correctly, it is pretty solid that, yes, there was apparently a scene cut from the end of Titans Season 2, and I don't know why they removed this. I just genuinely don't, like, because maybe they didn't want to do it or show it because it would, in turn, have questions from people like me saying, well, if he's out there, why wouldn't he be in the next season? But let me explain the situation. He does apparently wake up in hospital at the end, and, like, it shows that he's still alive after being impaled with a sword by Ravager, if you guys remember. They removed that, apparently, but let's, you know, assume it's true. No. I think if they removed it, I don't think there's much point in then teasing Deathstroke still being alive when they could have done that at the end of Season 2. I think they would stick with their guns and their conviction with that decision. However, yeah, I do. It does make me wonder why they even removed it, because, like, the only things I can consider is if they did show it, well, maybe they thought that, why wouldn't Deathstroke be in the next season? Like, surely after being humiliated like that and still having an agenda against the Titans and a mission, he would just be back in Season 3. But think about it, he would. So maybe that's the reason. Like, if you think about it, why wouldn't he come back? So maybe they thought, if we didn't show that post-credit scene, nobody will ask why Deathstroke wouldn't. But you could argue maybe he's still recovering, and that's why he wouldn't be in Season 3. But even then, if they showed the post-credit scene at the end of Season 2 of him waking up in a hospital, you could argue, okay, yeah, he rested for Season 3, but why wouldn't he be back as the Season 4 villain? So I think that question would always be over the overarching, you know, whatever's plot to every season as to why Deathstroke would never come back when he would. So maybe it was the best decision for them to not include that scene if that scene did in fact happen. Next question is from Elaine Lemos. So is it silent E? I do not know. But anyway, love the content, always entertaining. Thank you, Elaine. Appreciate that, dude. Or lady, dudette. I don't know. But anyway, do you think that we'll get an Alfred since they're in Gotham and staying at Wayne Manor? And I feel that Superboy would be too overpowered to fight Red Hood gang. So do you think that they will split the team and have half dealing with Blackfire and the other half dealing with Red Hood as two intertwining arcs? So the whole Alfred thing, this is one of those things where really he should be there, but for real reasons, I'm guessing he isn't. So let me put it this way. Alfred should be there, ideally, even though you could probably easily explain in story why he isn't, but regardless, remember back to Titan Season 1, Dick Grayson went for his contacts on his phone, and you saw Alfred, and he was literally on the phone to him. Like, literally. So Alfred was still about, and at that time, we assume he was at Wayne Manor in Season 1 when that happened. We didn't see him in Season 2. He's disappeared since then. So Alfred has, for all we knew at that point when Dick Grayson contacted him in Season 1, at Wayne Manor with Bruce Wayne. But things have kind of not changed since then, but since then we've actually had a Bruce cast in the show. So Alfred probably won't be there. I guess, I don't know if they're going to do a line. They could easily do a one-liner where, think about it, Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne is being called Alfred in of himself by people, so he's in his 50s. So you can imagine that Alfred could be much, much older. Maybe he was still around with Wayne Manor and Ian Glenn in Season 1. But since Season 3, maybe he's gone off to retire. I don't know. Maybe, like, for all intents and purposes, the world that we know, Alfred is there with Bruce at Wayne Manor in Season 1. So technically speaking, he should still be there when we see Wayne Manor in Season 3. But there's context that we don't know. Ultimately, real-world reasons is probably why Alfred isn't there. And lastly, I would appreciate a one-liner. I agree. Like, I do think they should say, like, why is Alfred's probably off doing he's visiting Juliana in England. That would be good enough, wouldn't it? But anyway, Superboy, very good question. A lot of people are pointing this out. This is one thing that I feel like I'm gonna have to be I'm very interested in seeing, because I'm a lot more critical these days as I was like 3 or 4 years ago on this channel. I think it just comes with the curve of like reviewing things over a long period of time. One thing that will be interesting is, yeah, how are they going to manage the Superboy character who is basically like Superman, basically? How are they going to do it? Because he's so fast, so powerful, he's bulletproof. So yeah, I really hope that with the scenes we're going to see, and I don't want to be a nitpicker, but almost when it comes to a character like Superboy going up against people who are pale in comparison to him, they're going to have to be so careful in writing those scenes, because otherwise it's not even nitpicking. It's like, oh, why didn't Superboy do this? Why didn't Superboy do that? Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of worried about that, even though I love the comic character. There's so much potential for him. And in Season 2, I absolutely loved what they dived into with Cadmus Labs, obviously Clark, and the whole Lex Luthor side. But yeah, without putting my love for Connor aside, and the actor Joshua Orpin behind him, I think he's done a stellar job. I am worried about that, I have to admit. So yeah, your proposal of maybe splitting the team up, I think that will happen a little bit anyway, to an extent. But then again, I don't know how much with the structuring of this season is going to change. It's a very good question. But yeah, I think we will have different arcs ultimately, because we have Raven doing one thing. And I do think Starfire, yeah, there's definitely going to be split arcs, but I don't know how much that will actually help Superboy. Because ultimately, we're still going to have to see Superboy in a fight scene, and we already see him in fight scenes against the Dayton Lab kind of thugs. Do you remember that? And I'm sure you're seeing it on screen right now. So yeah, it's just like, hopefully they keep it quite closely knit to a certain rule set. So I keep seeing this, and this one, I don't know if it's self-explanatory or not, because to be fair, they could... Right, so let me not get ahead of myself. Ren says, do I think that we'll get flashbacks for Batgirl and Barbara? So a lot of people aren't actually aware that Savannah Welsh, who was cast as Barbara, and I'm so looking forward to her. Like, I think her demeanor and everything is just brilliant. I'm getting ahead of myself. I think I am. I need to see her performance first, but I'm really excited for her. But Savannah Welsh has one leg, so I'm guessing in this iteration of The Killing Joke, you could say maybe due to the injuries of what happened when the Joker shot her, maybe her leg had to be amputated. Maybe with whatever effed up shit happened in the Titans Gotham version of The Killing Joke, the Joker did that to her. Insert your own logic there, but regardless, she has one leg. So as for Batgirl flashbacks, don't expect that, I think, for obvious reasons. I mean, you could literally say that she could put on a prosthetic leg that she's even been talking about in her most recent Instagram post, which I definitely recommend checking out, by the way. She talks about, for the better part of the year, past year, my prosthetic leg has been so painful that I couldn't even wear it. So, like, what I'm trying to get at here is that you could argue she could wear that, and that's how she can be walking around in a Batgirl flashback, right? Or maybe in the Batcave before she suits up. But I just wouldn't expect that for obvious reasons. Like, I think she's going to be in her Barbara Gordon wheelchair. I mean, she does wear a prosthetic leg in real life, but as she details here, that she's been having really bad problems even wearing it, and it fitting in the socket because it was cutting off her circulation and stuff. Like, you know, as amazing as prosthetic legs do seem to be, like, they still obviously very much so have their issues. So I just wouldn't expect for them to, like, kind of force that storyline into Season 3 for her to have those Batgirl flashbacks. I don't think it's necessary. As amazing as that would be, if you think about it logically, I don't think we need to see it. We've got Barbara Gordon. I think you can trust that the Titans writers would have put lines. So we have a whole scene in Wayne Manor between Batman, well, Bruce Wayne, Ian Glenn, Dick Grayson, his former Robin, and his former Batgirl. Imagine what conversation will take place here. I don't want to get my hype up too much because, as I always say, I always try and temper that so I'm never disappointed. I just take it as it comes and then I assess and process the information. I don't do the thing where I'm putting what I want to happen into the show and then when I get it, I'm like, that's what that happens way too many times with people, like WandaVision and things like that, and then they call the show shit because of it, and it's just like, no. Process the information you get and then just... Do you see why I'm going off on a tangent right now? So, anyway, Savannah Welsh. I don't think we will see Batgirl flashbacks. I think the best we will get is dialogue. I think dialogue is rewarding enough. I kind of like the idea that we have a Batgirl, should I say Barbara Gordon, in Oracle potential mode, Commissioner Barbara, thinking back to her days. Maybe there'll be a line of dialogue where it's like, remember that one time, or I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are aware of Savannah Welsh's story. You know, and as soon as I tell them, they're like, oh, I didn't even realize. And I'm like, how did you not realize? Either way, let's move on to the next question. But I'm still really, really hyped for this character, regardless of flashback or no flashback. I really don't expect it. So another question here, kind of regarding Alfred. So Anas Ali says, when do I think we'll get to see Alfred or Damian Wayne? Do you think we'll get to see him? So we've already spoke about Alfred. I don't think so. Damian Wayne, I don't think so. I really don't think so with Damian Wayne. Don't forget that just because in certain Batman lore, like he has this certain many Robins, or he has a daughter with Talia, or he goes off with Catwoman, it's not like universally canon. So, it's just fascinating. I've seen a Damian thing in terms of Ian Glenn's Alfred. God damn it! They've tricked me. They've said Alfred so many times. I even said it. Damn it. Bruce. They think that he should already be at Damian, but I'm always like, wait. Why do you think that Damian's even a part of this canon? Like, hold your horses. I think a lot of expectations and underwhelming feelings or disappointment is due to this show doesn't fit in with, like, my headcanon of the characters from what I've read, so therefore it is wrong, when that is completely invalid. Because if said person read a whole different version of headcanon from their source material that they chose to read about the character, because as we know, there's lots of variety, then they might be like, oh, I do like it. So do you see what I mean? Always try and remove, like, there's all kinds of variations for these characters. So, like, Damian Wayne, no, I don't even expect it. He could be out there, but in my headcanon, whether he's out there and they're estranged and Talia hasn't come back or Damian hasn't announced himself to Bruce, it doesn't matter to me. Like, in this headcanon, everything's aged up a bit. Nightwing became Nightwing at 30 instead of 18 to 22. Aged that up for Batman. Like, he's a bit older. Damian Wayne doesn't have to be there. In this canon, it's been Dick Grayson, Batgirl, Jason Todd, and he's now going to get onto Tim Drake. It's just fascinating seeing, but how can, like, why is he only getting onto Tim Drake when, and what about Damian? Yet again, without sounding cocky or patronizing or pretentious, I mean this in the best, like, spirited way, just to, like, help people with their outlook at these things. Remember, in some Batman adaptations and graphic novel runs, Damian Wayne doesn't even exist. So do you see what I mean? Don't always, like, outlook your projections onto something that a show is doing when it's trying to do its own thing and also borrow from different threads of canon. So ultimately, no. But next question, Victoria Genevieve. Do I think that we'll see Jason in the Lazarus Pit? If so, do I think we'll see Ra's al Ghul or Talia al Ghul? So Lazarus, I don't know if this one. I'm leaning towards no. I believe there is an actual episode called Lazarus, but my instincts and intuition is just telling me, if also rationality here, it would just be easier for them to not have the Lazarus Pit and doing the Arkham Knight route of him basically, like Joker, whether Joker wanted this or Jason, it wouldn't surprise me through the way he's feeling. They just serve it as that he's dead, but really he never died. He was beat to a pulp, but he recovered, few month time jump or something, but everyone's assumed that he died. There's enough evidence to look like that, and that's what happened in Arkham Knight. He never really died. And that's the easiest way for this adaptation, because as amazing as a Lazarus Pit would be, and it is the more popularly known one, don't forget that then you have the responsibility, or if not, the responsibility and you don't do it, people get mad through that. Of including Ra's al Ghul and all of the extra threads and aspects that tie to Jason being put into the Lazarus Pit. So if you choose the Lazarus Pit, you're gonna have many fans being like, why isn't this there? Why isn't that there? Why isn't the Demon's Head doing it? Like, do you see what I mean? So it's more safer for them to kind of push that to the side and not do it because of all the other things that won't be in it, even if they did still do it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it is probably easier to not include the Lazarus Pit. Even though there is an episode called Lazarus, I still don't think, I think that's kind of a red herring. I haven't seen the episodes yet, so I genuinely don't know at this point. If they went and did Lazarus Pit, yeah, they would have to do these other characters, which would just be so much to deal with when they've, like, this is a show dealing with so many other things. They're not going to bring in the Demon's Head, Ra's al Ghul, and all of these other things. Like, I would never imagine that. And even if they did, in a fleeting kind of way, everyone would be mad that they didn't go into it even more. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. And I think I'm going to make this one of, if not the last question, from T. Alves. And he says, do you think that we may even see Raven resurrect Wonder and that is why she's wearing the white symbol to symbolize her unlocking her extra abilities as she said her powers are changing? So, as for actually the actual resurrection of Donna Troy, I suppose they would show it. That's why Raven went away. But not only that, to hone her powers. It was a big narrative pushing point for her that the writers wanted to get across to the audience. That's why she went to Themyscira. Not only that, to try and help Donna Troy. That is why she's in that Silver-esque get-up, because in certain older adaptations, the Amazons and in Themyscira, instead of kind of like the Wonder Woman movie attire that we see at the minute in recent DCEU adaptations of the Amazons, they actually have had this silver look as well. And that's what's really cool. It's kind of a nice throwback. And that's probably what Raven is wearing. We're going to see some time of her in Themyscira, and that is really cool. I really can't wait for that. She's probably going to resurrect Donna, but then also have the opportunity to hone her abilities, which is very much so needed. Raven's always needed guidance, and Dick has been there for her, but if we're being realistic here, Dick can be like a good father or older brother figure for her, but he's not equipped to deal with the forces that like Raven has to reconcile and reckon with within her. Like he's not he can't teach her shit really to do with that, so who can? A lot more of an ancient wisdom fueled people, the Amazons. So she's going to have a good growth spurt, both maturely but also power-wise speaking as well. I think they're kind of trying to make her be a bit more like grown up this season. She's not going to be... I think that's a direction the show wanted to go anyway, from what I've heard behind the scenes. They kind of wanted to ditch the younger kind of things. I'm not saying they had proper regrets in casting younger actors, but they kind of wanted it to apparently go in a more older direction. So they kept Tegan, of course, but like they want her to go through a character development arc where she's gone to the Amazon, Themyscira, and she's honed her ability. She comes back, not necessarily all sensei mode, because she's obviously still a young woman, but she's also going to be kind of a different Raven than what we've seen before. And I love the fact that we already get to see some of that Amazon attire in the trailer, and that what you're seeing on screen right now, and I can't wait for that. And what changes have got to come about with the Amazons kind of tempering her power and helping her become in touch with it a bit. What's very important about this, and yet again, I don't think this is nitpicky, they have to establish why she can't just go around resurrecting everyone, because if she, and which I'm sure she will, resurrect Donna Troy, because seemingly she died, unless they really retcon that she didn't. No, she died. Then why can't she just use this power? If somebody dies in the field, okay, resurrect them. She's already shown in Season 2 as well that she could heal Corey in the car. Do you see what I mean? So I feel like they need to kind of establish some rule sets as to why she can't just use that all the time, you know? And I will include this actually as the last question. The Darth Knight says, even if we don't see him in the suit, do I think that we could at least see Bruce's suit in the cave? And there's a few questions like that. This is a very hard one because I don't see why we wouldn't see the suit in the cave, but for some reason I don't trust that we will. Because A, this means that they have to actually show the suit that they apparently did make behind the scenes. Apparently they did make an actual bat suit. That's the rumor. But whether or not that's true, regardless, yeah, I just don't... The thing is, I don't feel like we are going to, but we're going to be in the Batcave. Why wouldn't the Batsuit be hanging up in there? Like, literally... Why wouldn't it be? So the best I think we can imagine is if they do decide to show it, it's always going to be in a part of a cane cave that has a bit of a low lighting kind of area. So I feel like they could never have the lights kind of, you know, like how I got the lights shined on this backdrop here, like with the bulbs, they're pointed towards it. I can imagine maybe you'll see the ears from like maybe, let's just say this new suit, or even the season 1 stunt suit that they showed in the Trigon reality manipulation. They might always just have the cowl area lit up with the eyes. I'm not saying to expect this, but I honestly don't know how the suit won't... I know I keep saying this, but why wouldn't the Batsuit be in the Batcave when Ian Glenn's Bruce is not going to suit up for a while because he needs some time to kind of recover and process the death of one of his Robins? All intents and purposes, the Batsuit would be there. Realistic reasons, I don't think we're going to properly see it, but if we do get half and half, what they can do, as I've just said in that kind of descriptive scene of mine, is that they could have a low-lit area where you can kind of make out the cowl or something like that. Or maybe Bruce actually, one way to do it is he puts up a little rug over it, kind of like a dust sheet, because Batman is no... Why? You need to be a better Batman, Dick, in terms of what he said in the trailer. Maybe he kind of puts it away for some time. But really, what we really know is he does come back because he's still got to train Tim Drake. So, yeah. I think that's the video, guys. There's a lot more I can get through. Some really awesome looking questions. But, I'm going to call it here. This has been a nice chunk. If you guys want to see another installment in this Titan Season 3 preemptive, nerd-out, speculation, theory, discussion series, let me know down in the comments below. As always, everyone, if you want to stay up to date with me, I have a bunch of links. Like, seriously, a lot of them down in the comments section, but click Show More on the top pinned comment, which is the comment of mine that I have pinned. There, you're going to find a bunch of links to my Discord server where we have Titans channels, all kinds of Batman channels, other channels for all kinds of other things. I have a Twitter, which is my most active social media. I have Instagram where I post other random things like me singing or some random stuff like that. And other places to support me like Patreon and the join button on this channel. But that is everything, guys, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Titans in the next video. Goodbye.